Hey everyone, welcome to our Nunu Full Gameplay Jungle tutorial. Before we start, let's first talk about his items and runes. Currently, this is the ideal standard setup and feel free to use this as your guide. For better understanding, I will explain why this is the ideal setup. Going to the items, the first item that we would build is Rod of Ages. I have tested this build quite a few times and it looks very efficient on him since his AP values got increased and Roa is a great scaling item for him. Then the next item that I will go for is the Sunfire Aegis. This makes his dueling and team fight a lot better. Your damage will be a bit higher in team fights because you have the AP scaling from Rod of Ages and the burn damage from Sunfire Aegis. So you will also get more damage with the Immolate, which is HP scaling, which would synergize with the Rod of Ages. And then the next item that we would go for is the Steel Stated Stone Plate, wherein we could go Mercury Threads if they have a lot of crowd control and Steel Caps if they have a lot, if they are heavy AD. And the reason why I like the Stone Plate is because it synergizes with his first two items, as well as it has good synergy with his ultimate as well, since you could go for the Stone Plate ulti for more shields and more durability during team fights. And you're, of course, as a tank, you need to be on the front line. The next items could be a flex, but for me, I prefer the Warmogs because this also synergizes with your bonus HP as well as the immolate damage, and it gives you fast regeneration, wherein you could go in once you cast your ulti, you go out to get your HP back, and then you go back in. But of course, this could be replaced. This could be Thornmail, Randuin, or Spirit Visage. So the reason I go Spirit Visage over Force of Nature is that it doubles the healing of my first skill, and it gives me HP regen, which synergizes with the Warmog. So the last item could be either Randuins or Deadmans. Deadmans if they don't have a lot of crit champions, and then you go for Randuins if they have a crit champion such as Jinx, Lucian, etc. So one last thing that you could go for is if you think that you need anti-healing, you could change the Randuin for Thornmail or you could change the Warmogs for Thornmail. So the last three items are interchangeable and it depends on what you would want. Going to the runes that we go for is Aftershock. So Aftershock gives very easy to proc with Nunu. If we hit our second skill or our third skill, we snare someone, we get more HP, we get more armor. Since we do not have much armor in our build, we're building an HP type Nunu, and this is helpful to make him more tanky. And then the next one we would go for is Weakness. So the reason why I go Weakness is that he has a lot of CC. You have your Blue Smite, you have your Snowball, you have your third skill, and your ultimate as well, which should all proc Weakness, and this would increase the damage of your Sunfire and your burst, and the burst of your ultimate. So the next one we go is Hunter's Titan. We could go Hunter's Titan or Conditioning. It depends on the opponent. Or we could even go Second Wind. If they have a lot of CC, you could go for Titan. But if they don't have a lot of CC, you could go for Conditioning. Since we do not have much armor MR in their build, and Conditioning would greatly help give the needed armor that we need. Then the last that we would go for is Pathfinder. I would go Mastermind before, but Pathfinder is generally a better rune right now, since this gives us more move speed to be able to make our ganks faster and to clear faster as well. So that's it for the runes and items, and I will see you guys in game. Going to the game, this is where I will teach you how to play Nunu and what you should do to make him an effective champion. I will also tell you the tips and tricks and do's and don'ts of this champion. So currently, we are up against a Jungle Gragas, and this is a matchup which is good for us because Jungle Gragas doesn't have a strong early and his clear is not that fast. So we could play a bit aggressive here. I try to check where he could possibly start. And the first item that I went here is the Amplifying Tome, so it could help make my clear a bit faster. So the clear that I'm doing here right now is the standard clear, where I will go for my red, raptors, and blue, since Nunu has a strong single target damage when clearing camps because of his first skill, Smite combination, wherein I can clear big camps a lot faster than other jungle champions. My clear is not the worst, it is also decent, and when playing Nunu, your first objective is try to look for the enemy jungler, because what's good about Nunu is that you have one of the best, if not the best, execute in the game when it comes to objectives. With your first skill plus smite, there are no other junglers that can contest you since you basically have 2 smites in your kit. So while I'm taking the blue, I'm looking at the other lanes and looking for where the jungle could be. I see Fiora is a bit extended in the top side. So once I get my blue buff, I am looking towards getting the Scud or ganking the top side. So I see Fiora extended, so I try to do a skill check. I use my snowball on the top side. If he parries, it's okay. If he doesn't, then he gets slowed. I have my double CC. We're able to get the successful gap onto the Fiora, which helps the Kayle a lot since Kayle has a very weak laning phase. So I still don't see Gragas, and if ever Gragas comes, I think I have priority over him since I have top lane pressure. So we take the Scuttle. I try to look for mid. I don't see the Galio, so I just go back to my own camps and try to get my level 5. Then I see what I should do from there. So when playing Nunu, another thing that you would want to do is to use your skills to clear the camp. So the clear that I would do here is second skill into the camps and then always auto attack, then eat, and then third skill, try to full cast my third skill to make my clear as efficient as possible. Nunu doesn't have the fastest clear in the world, but his ganking potential is very strong. So I see Galio extended in the mid lane, so I try to go for mid. I try to look for the flash, he doesn't flash, he goes to the bot side. My snowball hits, but I have my third skill. I'm able to snare him. I still have my slow. Galio is able to get the kill onto Zed. I'm level 5, so no more flash, which means this is an easy kill for us. Gragas comes, but even though Galio is able to get a 1-for-1 trade, I'm able to get assist gold, which is favorable for us. And we have a great early game in this in our standings. So here, what I'm doing right now is I would want to complete my Rod of Ages before the first dragon. So I clear my camps first, and I could start stacking this item since Rod of Ages gives us HP for more durability, and AP, since Nunu got buffed, his AP ratios are a lot better, especially with his ultimate, and this is generally a good synergy item with this kit. So, the only time you would not go Roa is when you're massively behind and you could just go for a pure tank build. But if you want to carry and tank at the same time, I would recommend Rod of Ages and Sunfire for maximum damage as a tank. So, the next the next camp spawn, I take my red buff, I go for my Krugs, and then here I decide, do I go for the bot, do I go for the Herald? Since we're a bit ahead and Lucian's a bit extended, I could go for the bot gank. So Lucian is able to escape cleanly. I throw my snowball and I look for the Scuttle at the bot side. So our early game is quite strong since we have Zed, Braum, and Nunu. I see Kayle coming to our lane. Fiora is still freezing top or trying to push top. So we take the Scud, and since Kayle is pinging, I would want to try to bait, but I see Kayle. So we start a dragon, 5v4. We have a good advantage. And we want to make this a clean dragon take. So I have my first plus smite. So Gragas tries to contest, but I'm able to first smite. No counterplay. Kayle gets a good ulti. I wait for their skills. I wait for the Galio ult before ultiing. Galio is able to knock me up, but I'm able to kill the Gragas. I die, but it's okay. I'm able to secure the objective. I'm able to peel for my team. And we're able to get a 1-for-1 trade, which is very good for our situation. Because our job as a Nunu is to soak damage. Our damage is our objective is to peel for our carries and to tank the opponents as long as possible. So Fiora still trying to push top. So I want to get a gank onto her, but I think she'll get the tower before I come. Kayle tries to poke her a bit, but she's very low HP, able to flash away. I smite, I CC Fiora so Kayle wouldn't die. So Gragas, I'm ahead since I have my Roa. I'm also on the way to my Sunfire. I push the lane first before taking the Herald because my mid and top has to reset. Bot is able to get the tower, so I'm waiting for my teammates to come before I start the Rift Herald. So So you never start the objective by yourself, especially if you don't know where the opponent is. If you look at my map, you can't see anyone, and if you solo this by yourself, this would put you in a massive risk. I see my teammates come, so I start, and I know where I head in this game. It's currently up 6-2. Gragas tries to steal again, but I have my first smite combo, and they fail another smite. I use my third skill. I'm able to snare a lot of people. I peel for my team. I have my ulti for more shields, and they're able to easily auto-attack. I flash for the kill. Galio is low. I missed one of my snowballs. I could have killed him if one of my snowballs hit, but it's okay. We win the team fight. I get the objective, and it's looking very good. It's very good at this position. And then Herald spawned at mid. I'm low HP, so I would like to clear my camps. All of my camps are up, and as much as possible, I would need to get more. I would want to farm as well, so I could get my item. So once I complete my Sunfire plus Rod of Ages, my DPS will increase by a lot, and my clear time as well. So what I'm doing right now is just to clear the camps, and in the downtime while my camps spawn, that's when I will gank, unless they really need me, since there's no objectives yet in the map. So I go home, I buy my Bami Cinder, and I almost have my Sunfire completed. Most likely I would be able to complete this before the next objective. Zed gets caught, but it's okay, so I just go back and farm my camps. The only time I would gank is if there's an extended opponent, or I need to defend the tower. So that's when so since no one's at mid, I try to get the Fiora. I get the snowball into her. I get the snare, and the passive of Grom as well. I have my ulti. Galio has no crowd control, and look at the damage of my ulti. I'm able to one-shot the Fiora 1/4 HP, since she has no more parry, and Galio has no more second skill plus the knockup. So this just goes to show how strong Rod of Ages for Nunu is. Even though we're 2 tanks, we're able to win the 2v2. Jungle, mid. I tried to greed, and limit tested. I wanted to try to upplate the Galio, but Gragas came in and I mispositioned in that fight. So Dragon is spawning 15 seconds right when I'm about to spawn, so I wouldn't be late. I would still reach the Dragon on time, and it's something that we could easily take. So I got my Roa and my Sunfire, which increases my output. I have a lot of HP in my kit as well. The shield of my ulti will be quite big, because my ult scales with the shield of my ulti scales with HP, and the damage scales with AP, which my Roa currently has. So I have a pretty big amount of stacks. I see them start the Dragon. I try to zone them as much as possible. We get a 2-man snowball. I'm looking for the Dragon, but Gragas puts me back. I'm able to get the Gragas. Look at my damage. Even though I'm alone, my damage output is really big. So what I have right now is I have strong DPS. I'm very tanky, as well as I have a lot of CC for my team. So even though the opponent decides to ignore me in a team fight because they know I'm a tank, I would still deal a lot of damage by using my skills and the Immolate on my Sunfire. So the next item that I would go for is the Stone Plate, and the reason of which is that this gives me a lot more durability, as well as it synergizes with my skill. So the plan here is, once I get to my opponents, I would use my Stone Plate, and my Stone Plate and my ulti scales with HP. So Stone Plate gives me more HP, and when I get more HP, my shield will be even bigger. So my shield will double or even triple when I have my Stone Plate on. So the basic combo here is, once you hit someone with your snowball, you have Aftershock, and then you Stone Plate, and then you ulti. So you'd always want to Stone Plate before you use your ulti for maximum effectiveness. So I get another snowball into the Fiora. I see 3 people. I use my Stone Plate, and then I use my ulti. I'm able to tank a lot of damage. I'm tanking their whole team, and I'm still able to get out alive. I'm dishing damage as well. Lucian flashes out, and I bought enough time for my team to come in a initially 2v5 situation. So it just goes to show how strong the Stone Plate is. I'm able to get times 3 to times 5 of my health. So I get double shield, I get triple HP, and I get a lot of damage as well. So the ideal thing is that you use Stone Plate ulti and then you let go of your ulti once your Stone Plate expires for maximum damage output. So it's kind of hard to pull off, but that is the ideal combo. But if you don't, but using your Stone Plate for damage is good as well. And you see, I live again because of my Stone Plate. The opponent tries to chase. I have my third skill to peel for my team, and things are looking great. So Nunu is a great champion if you have teammates to protect. So in this game, I have a Kale and does Jinx that I could peel for. So this is where Nunu's effectiveness is really good because his passive makes these types of champions a lot more effective because not only can I peel for my Jinx and Kale, I can give them attack speed as well. And if they're able to free hit, they're able to get their sets. This is it will be ideal for me since I'm more of a early to mid game damage but a late game tank. So the next item I would go here is the Warmog's Armor, which would even increase my health even more. So now with triple HP items, I'm very tanky. The only problem is I don't have much armor, but it's okay. If I can tank the opponents well, and if I can kite them, I would get my HP back pretty fast with the Warmog's Armor regen. So in this state of the game, what I'm doing right now is I'm just covering for the lanes. I'm playing for the late game since we have the late game Kale plus Jinx combination. Even though their split push is quite strong because of the Fiora, it's no problem because we can just force the team fights and I am advantageous when it comes to objectives. So my team does a 1-for-1 trade on the bot side. Pretty good. And I see Zed trying to contest the Galio. I use my Snowball. I can travel pretty fast with Pathfinder Snowball combination. Gragas gets the ulti onto me. I'm able to snare. Look at my damage. I'm able to burst the Gragas even though I'm using tank items. So Dragon spawns, Fiora's top side, most likely an easy secure. And we have a really good lead in this game. So the only problem that I have with Nunu is that he is more of a team player rather than a solo carry player, wherein you need to rely on your DPS to have the damage in the later stage of the game, since your DPS will be since your job is to become a tank in the late game. Because early to mid game you have some damage, the opponents can't just ignore you since you will just kill them. But when it comes to the late game, you go for a more tankier approach. You peel for your team and let them carry. So what I'm doing right here is looking for the Baron, looking for the wards. I see the Scuttle, so I can't start the Baron, so I just clear top. Since the wave is pretty big, and I want the wave to become favorable for us. So Zed is trying to look for a flank. I use my Snowball. I try to catch the opponents. And I'm pretty tanky. My team is all there, so I could start to initiate. I force the team fight. I teal for my team. I snare. I zone the backline. I use my Stone Plate. I haven't used my ulti yet because I'm not the focus. My teammates in the front, they're able to get the Braum, but I'm still alive. I get the Galio out. I try to chase. Kill flashes in. I ulti for the Lucian, and Lucian just disappears with my ulti. So I think we end. 4 of them are down. Kale is chasing the Gragas. We look for the mid tower. I clear as fast as possible, and this is a very endable game. So all in all, Nunu, with this build, you have a lot of damage early and then a lot of HP when transitioning into the late game. So hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Before I go, there are 3 tips that I would like to share with you when playing Nunu. The first is ganking. Nunu has a lot of crowd control in his kit and strong early ganks. Make sure you use this and try to punish overextended opponents as soon as possible. His second skill is also a good initiation tool, and it's important that you practice on how to use it properly. My second tip is peeling for your team. Nunu is one of the best champions that can help peel for your team. His kit has big zoning potential, and his passive can increase the damage of your carry. Always try to protect your carry when team fighting, especially when ahead, to increase the chances of winning in a fight. My third tip is securing objectives. Nunu has one of the best objective secures in the game. With this, try to always contest objectives since you are always guaranteed to win the smite fight. Just don't be too greedy and always consume before smite since the first skill has a short animation. And that is it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe in order to see more content like this. Feel free to leave a comment if I missed anything and what champion you would like to see next. Thanks for watching. Ciao ciao!
I'm finally facing it all, fearless.